Hey, it's Matt, BlindGuysGarage. It looks like today we're going to be doing some AC work on a 69 Camaro. So here's where we're at so far. If you watched the last video, you know we disassembled this thing and we're waiting on parts. And I figured it's going to get a little in-depth, so we'll start from here. So we got the AC compressor off, the expansion valve is off, and the the dryer assembly is off. And we've now blown air through all the lines. Everything's clean. So I guess now we're going to reassemble this thing, charge the system, which is going to be a little difficult because it's hot out. It's cold outside. It's in the 40s. So I'm going to follow the vintage air spec. It says 1.6 pounds. I think I'm going to put 1.4 pounds in the system. And if we have to add just a little bit come summertime, I'll go to him and I'll add it at that point. But I don't want to overcharge the system, especially knowing where we're at. So let's get over here and we'll show you what we got to put together with. All right, here's our new parts. Got a brand new AC compressor. Here she is. That's a $450 unit from Summit. Not a cheap bastard. All right, zoom me in here. We got our dryer assembly, brand new. O-rings for the dryer assembly. A different pressure switch because this dryer assembly uses a different pressure switch than the other one. And I couldn't get the other one in within a decent time manner. New belt, AC refrigerant, valve stem seals. That's for another project. We'll talk about that later. Not for this car. And here is our expansion valve. Looks like a nightmare. It's not that bad. So let's get started. All right, we've got our dryer assembly. We're going to install it. It hides down here on the face of the AC condenser right here. So we'll install it, and then we'll bring you back in just a second. All right, now we'll take a little bit of peg oil. You won't really be able to see where I'm at right this moment, but there's lines that go into this AC dryer right here. Reach into the AC peg oil, get a little oil on your finger, wipe the O-rings down that's inside the unit there, and then we can reassemble this thing. So we'll set the peg oil back right there. We'll start the line right here, and then we'll mount it because in this car, it's kind of using a universal dryer assembly. I mean, it's got a mounting home and all, but you know. So there we go. Bring you back in a second. Got one more line to do, but I'm not going to bring you back for it. Alright, so what I do is I'll take a big socket and I'll coil the wire around the socket, and it makes a decent coil. So when you're done, it looks pretty decent. It's not perfect, but decent. And now we'll reinstall it. So bring it back in a second. Alright, well that was tougher than expected. So if you look right here, here's the coil wind. It coils up, then comes around, and let's see if I can show you. It's right there. So that fitting is a real big pain in the tail to get to. See it right there up under the thing. So it comes out real easy, but not so easy to put it back together. Now on the other side, it's easy. See if you can see it. Right here's the coil wind. Grab my light, bring it over here so you can see something. Like I've said many a time before, blind guys don't need light. So you see the coil wind comes up, it goes right here into the case, and then let's just have this little plastic clamp that holds it in place, and that's how it works. So that side is done. Now let's install the AC compressor, and then we'll vacuum the system down. So let's do that. All right, I just want you to see it made a giant mess filling the AC compressor. So we got oil in the system now. Some dummy doesn't know how to pour apparently, and he ran it all down the back of the compressor. We're gonna clean that. But I'd almost forgot. So now we've done that, and we know we did it. So we're done with that part. This system calls for 6 ounces of oil, or at least this compressor does. So it's full now, and we will now continue to finish up this system. All right, well, here's our next bit of nightmare. Got the gauges hooked up. The high side hooked to our vacuum pump. Low side hooked to the gauge set. No freon in the can, it's just an empty can. Oh yeah, we got the AC compressor bolted on. I don't have the belt on it yet. I'll put it on in a minute. Not real worried about that. Here's the plug for the AC compressor. Plug's right there. So now what we're going to do is fire this thing up, pull a vacuum, and we're going to let it pull vacuum for about 30 minutes. So let's fire the vacuum pump up. It's going to start humming. Where's the switch at? And then we're going to watch this gauge right here and see if it starts pulling a vacuum. As long as it starts pulling a vacuum, we're good. Then we're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes with the vacuum pump pulling on it. Well, we're down to what, -2? Something like that. Get you a good shot over top of it. Before I walk away, it's got to be below -10. That tells me it's pulling a good vacuum. Looks good to me. All right, we're gonna walk away and we'll come back and check it. We're gonna walk away, let it sit pumping for about 30 minutes. Make sure we get all the air out of the system. And then, I mean, moisture, air, anything like that. And then we're gonna let it sit for a couple hours and make sure it holds vacuum. But as long as it holds vacuum, we can put Freon in it. It's good to go. So, bring y'all back. All right, well, it's been about 45 minutes. What I do with these, by the way, I don't know if I even mentioned it, is I'll do, you know, 10, 15 minutes on one side, which is the high side typically. Another 10 or 15 minutes on the low side, and then I'll finish off with 10 or 15 minutes back on the high side. Right now, because this gauge set, if you look here, see if I can show you, this line here is bigger than this line, and I don't have the adapter fitting to reduce this down to this size of line to hook to my gauge, to my pump. So, that's it. So we're gonna shut this thing down, take a look at the pressure, and then let it sit for a couple hours, make sure everything does what it's supposed to. So let's do that. And just for a quick view, here's where we are. Move my shoulder out of the way so there's some light in there. There it is. I'll take a picture of this. I'll also post it, and we'll be back. All right. Well, next day. It's all right. So here we go. Here's where we're at. I was chasing this thing for a minute, trying to figure out why we couldn't get the AC compressor to click on. And it appears as if this switch right here just wasn't making a good connection. Right here. So, now, when I turn on the system, or turn the car on, switch on. That sounded stupid. You should hear the fans kick on and the AC compressor click on. Let's see if I can get to where y'all can hear it. There it is. So now we know that's working. Let's charge the system. All right. Well, now we're gonna crank the car. We're using a jump box. It likes to scream. Probably any time now. 3, 2, 1. I lied to you. It likes to scream while it's hooked up. See? To tell you that it's hooked up, because, I mean, I guess I'm too dumb to know it's hooked up. Let's charge AC. I pre-filled this thing with 1 can of Freon, and currently we're sitting at, I can't quite read, it looks like 25. Oh hell, 18. And on the low side, on the high side, we're sitting at like 140. So we're gonna shoot another half can in it. Using a swirl motion, and then we'll check it consistently because we don't want to overcharge this system. So I'll bring you back in a minute. All right, we've put about 1.5 pounds in the system. I'm sitting right at 20 on this side, 21-ish, and just over 150. I'm kind of concerned that might be a hair much, but according to the vintage air specs, this thing calls for 1.7 pounds, and I put less than 1.5 cans of just short of 1.5 cans of Freon in it. So we should be really close. We'll have to double check it come summertime, or just tell them to take it back to the AC shop and then look at it. Because I mean, it's so cold out, the gauges don't read dead nuts proper anyway. I mean, it's 48 degrees, I mean, it's 51 degrees, I think. Let me look again. When I walked out this morning, it was 48. Starting to warm up in the shop because of the car sitting here running. I've got the back door open. It's currently 54 degrees out, so that should be a decent number. It's not perfect, but it'll get us close. So now we're gonna do an oil change on this thing, and I think we're done with it. So bring it back when we're driving it outside, I guess. All right, well, I've got the oil draining, and I'm getting ready to change the battery in this thing. And I realized the ground lead that goes from the battery to the frame is busted. Why? Well, look here. It's broken. It's actually brittle and coming apart everywhere. So we're going to have to redo that. I guess we're going to crimp it back here. It looks like they used a smaller gauge wire than what was already used. So yeah, it's lovely. So we'll get the battery out, fix this, figure out where we're going to ground it to, and go from there. All right, let's fire this thing up. We just finished up our oil change, so let's fire it up and see if we got some real pressure and all that good stuff. New battery. Oil pressure, we got some. Only about 35 though, 25, it ain't much. Let's see if she gets some more when you give her a little bit of goose. She does, all right. Let's see if the AC works real quick. Let it quit surging first. Alright, here we go. If AC compressor clicks on. Yep, we're good. Alright. Good oil pressure. Everything's good. Turn the lights off. And let's take it once over. Alright, I think we're done. Just roll you in so we can see. Turn the light on behind you so we can actually see something. So here we are. We got brand new AC compressor, a dryer system here, a new sensor. All this has been checked and all works out fine. New batteries installed, brand new ground lead installed. We'll see if we can zoom around to show you what we did with that. They had a self-tapping screw in here, which is stupid. So I've ran the ground into here. It runs over here into a, which you can't even see it from where we're at, I don't think. Let's see. Yeah, you can't see it. So I put a nutsert into the system there. So got a nice solid ground. Here we go, we're all done. Let's fire it up, make sure it still runs. And then we'll call him and tell him we're done with it. So here we go. Put my light down, spin her around. There she is. It's raining outside right now, so I'm not going to take it outside. But she runs good. Of course she should. Alright. Well, I guess that's it for the time being. You want to see more of this junk? You know, always subscribe. I guess for the normal stuff, just like, share, comment, subscribe. I read all the comments, answer all the comments. If you got any questions for me on what we do, how we do it, anything else, you know, leave me a comment. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. Y'all have a great one. Later.